In this demo, we will learn how to correctly register the required services for building an API on our container and how to correctly set up the request pipeline for that. As we started from the API template, you can assume that the code we ended up with in the beginning already correctly does both things. If we look at the services collection, we see that the addControllers method was executed on it. This addControllers method registers the necessary services for supporting controllers on our container. That's already one part of the MVC acronym that's supported. But there's other options available. We just learned that we're going to use the MVC pattern to build an API. And there's an addMVC method here we could use as well. That would register all MVC-related services on the container. We also find addMVC core. And there's more. There's another extension method, addControllers with views. Why not use one of those? Well, we definitely could. addControllers with views internally calls into addControllers and then registers some additional services for view support, which means support for HTML Razor views. But we don't need that when building an API. As we learned, the view part of the MVC pattern for APIs consists of typically JSON. Were we to call into addMVC, even more unnecessary services would be registered. So that immediately explains why we don't want to use those. Because they will register a set of services on our container that we don't need when we're building an API. addControllers is sufficient, so we'll leave it at that. As far as the request pipeline is concerned, we no longer want to simply write out hello world. Instead, we want whatever we're going to write in our controller actions to be executed. So we get rid of that hello world code, and we re-enable all the previously commented out middleware. We're now back at what we started with, but the main difference is that we now know how all of this works. Let's add a controller to effectively return some data in the next demo.